The question of the day. Should you still support Visions of Mana after the shutdown of Uka Studios? If you're not familiar with this, a lot of folks are upset that the developer of Visions of Mana, Uka Studios, got killed by their parent company, NetEase, which is a Chinese conglomerate that owns a lot of development studios around the world. And they did this as soon as the game launched, which is the most callous and heartless thing ever. This leads some people who were undecided about getting the game to want to close their wallets to try to punish NetEase. As a general rule of thumb, I think that people should do whatever they think is the right thing. However, this time, I don't think skipping this game is the right call. The devs, and particularly the leadership of the development teams, really don't want us to, and I'm gonna prove it. I'm also gonna share my impressions of this game and tell you what you're missing out on by skipping it. Visions of Mana is answering for something that a lot of people want and didn't even realize it. It's nostalgia. It's nostalgia in a brand new game. It's the JRPGs that they loved playing in their youth on their PlayStation 2. It's just made for modern hardware. It's comfort food for the old school soul. Let's talk about it. I'm Solace, this is Solace and Dread. We produce analytical content as well as nuanced discussions, primarily on gaming. If you like that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. Also, the director of Visions of Mana followed us on Twitter after we cursed out NetEase in a video, which is pretty cool. You should too. Follow us for good tweets. And thank you, of course, to Square Enix for providing us with a copy of this game. We will call this an impressions review, and it is spoiler-free. Plus, I'm still playing through it. I want to take my time with this game, which is really what it's made for. Let's start with the good, or the solace. The first thing that I need to call out is the Japanese ad for the game. This kind of sets the tone for everything I'm going to say afterwards. I thought at first that this was just well-made nostalgia bait at the time, kind of like how Call of Duty and World of Warcraft did it, trying to call back to your old days with your friends. But this is not that. This ad is exactly what the game is. It's the feeling that you had when you were a kid playing through a grand JRPG adventure. Nothing quite encapsulates this experience like this ad does. Despite the cartoonish art style of the game, which Mana is known for, it is made for adults. When people say things like, and this is pretty common nowadays, I don't enjoy gaming anymore, I am positive that games like this is the answer to that. One of this game's strengths, as well as its weakness, is that it doesn't do anything new. Not really. You have a bunch of different classes on all of characters, which equates to a million different ways to fight, but it's all mostly preference. Any of them will get the job done. So that's not really new. The gameplay is fast and fluid, but it's not anything that you haven't really felt in other action games. The vast areas in the game, it's not open world, but it's got big areas. That combined with the serene music compel you to explore and treasure hunt, but you don't really have to. The myriad of complex menu systems are all fun to dive into, if not a little confusing, but that's part of the fun. This is what I mean. It's just an enjoyable gameplay experience that serves what made you fall in love with gaming in the first place, particularly JRPG gamers. It's like a well-upgraded version of Trials of Mana Remake in nearly every way. It reminds you of simpler times without trying to do too much. The story is very mana-coded. It's cute but dark, and very self-indulgent in its own world. If you've played a Mana game, you know exactly what I mean by that. But it's a mature story that delivers on the expectations of current Mana fans. And the characters, they're all tropes that you've come to expect in any JRPG. None of them are going to feel overly surprising, and that's also part of the comfort. This game is comfortable. I think, to cap off the solace, that Visions of Mana is just fun. All of the good parts meld together to make a delicious meal. It's like eating your favorite home-cooked meal from your childhood. Does every meal you ever eat need to be a brand new dish that no one's ever heard of before from a master chef? Of course not. That's why the user score on this game is so high. Everyone has played this game before. It's those games that are sitting on your shelf back there that you tell people that you love. That is Visions of Mana. Mana is love. But then there's the critic score, which speaks to objectivity. There is some things wrong with this game. So let's talk about the dread. There are some small bugs and glitches that frustrate me and detracted from the overall experience, but very few of these are game breaking if I'm being honest. But when they happen, of course, it pulls you right out. Then, of course, there's the double-edged sword that we talked about, which is the biggest issue the game probably has, and it's that the game doesn't do anything new or exciting. In a world where gaming is always looking for the newest and flashiest stuff to hook increasingly shorter attention spans, Visions looks backwards and polishes what feels like a PS2 game remake. And I hate doing this. I hate to do it again. But with it being the most obvious Game of the Year winner, I have to bring it up. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The gameplay of Rebirth is exactly what critics are looking for in new titles. A game so jam-packed full of shit that's innovative and engaging with its mechanics, stuff like this pales in comparison because it's not new. Coupled with this is the side quest structure. They're not good. Fetch quests, kill quests, go look for a specific spot on the map quests. There was at least one shill who tried to say these quests were good. Sorry, but he's full of shit. It didn't matter that they build on top of each other. These quests are so forgettable and run-of-the-mill. This is an extreme low point for the game. The last major point hurting this game is probably the UI. I mentioned this in my demo review, and it's even worse than I thought on the full release. It's needlessly convoluted, and it's not even well explained. Even if it makes it kind of fun to kind of figure out, it's still a bit frustrating. I'm not going to go deep on this. It just has so much in it that the confusion can be off-putting to some people, and it makes playing an already dated feeling game kind of frustrating at times. Linking everything together, the scores on this are extremely accurate. It is objectively a 7.5 out of 10 experience for most, but it scratches an itch that people have needed for a long time. It does not do enough to bring in new players, but it instead serves to feed the existing fan base as well as JRPG fans in general. This actually might be why Uka is gone and why they're shut down. Perhaps not having record-breaking pre-sale numbers was what led them down this road. No matter what I say about that though, this is just speculation. We don't know why they're being shut down. What I can say with objectivity is that this game is made for fans by fans. It is lovingly crafted with the spirit of Mana and JRPGs in mind. If you were to ask me, knowing the passion that went into this game from the developers, it would be a fucking shame to deprive yourself of this work of art. These people put their blood into this for 4 years, and they're begging us, literally, to play it. And they're so happy that people are happy with it. They want us to still play it and enjoy their work, regardless of what happens to their studio. And I think honoring the devs' wishes is more important than trying to punish NetEase. If you want to punish NetEase, then do so by avoiding their future titles the same way that we do with like EA. Skipping this to prove a point just hurts them twice. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the matter, and that is it from me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon, and long live the Turtle Kingdom. Support Visions of Mana.